Hi, I'm Owlbear Rogue. Welcome to my cave. Let's talk about Dungeons and Dragons, The Wild Beyond the Witchlight. Is this the campaign for you and your friends? How will you know? Well, first off, do you remember in the 90s there was this book, a big coffee table book, called Lady Coddington's Pressed Fairies? And the idea was art done as if someone had taken fairies and smushed them in between the pages of a large book like they were flowers. And the art was gorgeous. These fairies were beautiful and magical and whimsical, but also undeniably splattered. And it was this perfect balance of just the whimsy you expect from fairies and something just totally dark and odd and weird. So if you remember what I'm talking about, if you owned this book or you saw it and thought it was the funniest thing you'd ever seen and you begged your parents for it, or if this is the first you're hearing about this and you're, as we speak, looking it up, trying to find a copy because you know you need this in your life, The Wild Beyond the Witchlight is custom made for you. It is that vibe in a campaign. If you are the kind of person who has trained your friends to bring you skulls of coyotes they find in the woods or particularly shiny rocks so that you can put them in a highly aesthetic cabinet of things you collect, like a strange human magpie, this is your vibe. If you're a player who is excited by the idea of starting an adventure in a Fae carnival, if that makes you feel all tingly, if you want to eat magic cotton candy that turns your hair hot pink, you want to ride a giant snail, you want to go to a pixie picnic, and importantly, you're also the kind of person who will be disappointed if things don't at some point start to get a little dark and weird. And don't worry, in Wild Beyond the Witchlight, they definitely do. DMs, if you are thinking about playing this, hey, I've given you a pitch. Take this to your players. I really cannot recommend enough that you do. It is so easy to run. I'm someone who tends to look at official D&D content just as a buffet for me to cannibalize and take apart and throw bits and pieces here into mostly homebrew content. But I don't have to do that with Wild Beyond the Witchlight. It is truly a pick up and play adventure. Now, I'm still gonna tweak. I gotta mess with stuff. It's just the way I am. But I do very little of it with this campaign, and I've run it a couple of times now. And if you are the kind of DM who's like, what? This works? It works and it's all done for me and I can just sit down and do it? I mean, first of all, I want to know about your life. I can't imagine what that's like. I bet it's convenient. But this really does work, and you can do that. Who is this campaign not for? If your players spend hours customizing their characters, optimizing their characters for combat, they're probably not going to love this. If they're going to be disappointed if you go a whole session without fighting something, they're probably going to be very disappointed. The folks at D&D created this campaign with the idea that you could make it through the whole thing without fighting anything if you really wanted to and you tried really hard. I think it's pretty optimistic. It is genuinely a very dangerous and often pretty dark world that your players are going to be traveling through. But I did have in one of my campaigns the players make it through all of the carnival, all of the first kingdom, and half of the second kingdom. So basically halfway through the third act of the campaign without really getting in any serious conflict or taking any significant damage. I started rolling damage and I was like, is this the first time I've hit you guys with anything? So it's possible. If your players are not into roleplay and they are not interested in NPCs, oof, they're not going to have a good time. This campaign is really built on how charming and delightful and strange their NPCs are. You need a party who wants to adopt strange NPCs and become best friends with them and brush their hair and keep them in their pocket for the rest of the campaign. That's the kind of people who are going to enjoy this. But if they're not interested in NPCs' problems, if they're not interested in role playing and getting to know them and enjoying these wild characters, they're not going to have a good time in Wild Beyond the Witchlight. So let me know, have you played Wild Beyond the Witchlight? Did you fight a lot of things? Did you mostly make it through on your charm and good looks? If you're a DM, do you agree that this was an easy campaign for you to run, that it was well written? And if you haven't played it yet and you're thinking about it, check it out and let me know what you think in the comments. Thank you so much for exploring the feminine urge to play Dungeons and Dragons with me, Owlbear Rogue.